We are going to discuss about importing stuff in Odoo, importing and exporting. The reason why we're going to talk about that is that it's one of the things that we do on almost any project. Like when you start working with a client, it's going to tell you, I need to import my contacts, my product. Maybe more than this, we are going to discuss that. We have a previous video that is on YouTube that is a bit old. I think that it was done version 11 or 12. We are now in version 18. So I think it's maybe the time that we have the same discussion, the same kind of explanation around the import, but with a revamped interface. You know, we are here in version 18. I'm on the SaaS of Odoo. I'm using an educational database, so it's a long-term support version. So if you look at my thing here, I think, yeah, it's version 18. So we are going to discuss that to a few of the errors that people meet usually during their import. So hopefully yours will be there. But if that's something that is not covered during the video, it's best that you send us a file or that you come during an Odoo Insider session, and then we are going to solve it on the spot. But yeah, both can be done. It's a bit techy as usual. It's at the border of functional knowledge and technical knowledge. We are going to see a few things that are related to the models, to the fields. We'll see what comes out of this. But yeah, so we are going to import, but first export in order to see what are the files that are generated by Odoo, and then we will import products, contacts, companies, maybe if we have a bit of time, product images, serial numbers, and stock counts. That could be very useful as well. Few of the flat things like those ones. And what else? Maybe journal entries as well, because that is a classic that we have very often on Odoo. All right, so yeah, maybe it's time that we move on. We'll open a few files and we'll explain it. But first, let's start with the export. I'm checking something. Yeah, just a quick thing here. I see already. I have a quick thing where I don't have electricity, so maybe we'll need. At the moment, I'm 84% of battery, so that's fine. But maybe later it will be a bit of a struggle. Guys, this is almost live session, so that's why we're discussing this. But perfect. Let's dive into the export thing first. I'm going there because usually that's easier to discuss that, to discuss the export first. Because we are going to see what is expected by Odoo in terms of formats. If I go there, for example, I have a look at the products, I will see that you see here I have something that is completely empty. If I go on there, you know how to export. You click on actions and then you click export, and then Odoo is giving you a lot of information. Maybe I should start first by saying that here, you may see a bit more than what you see on your screen. Don't forget that I'm using a debug mode of Odoo. I'm using that small Google Chrome add-on that is helping a ton for going quickly in debug mode. Otherwise, you know that you can simply go there, type debug, and you will activate the debug mode as well. That helps me having access to, you see between parentheses, the technical name of the field that I'm going to use. Sometimes it's very useful. We'll see why. First of all, I think I mentioned that already in some other sessions. What you do find is that the left-hand side here is translatable, so it means that there is a translation notion, while the right-hand side is completely a technical field, and so it will be the same, whatever the language that you use. So it's usually a safer bet to use the right-hand side. We'll see that when I'm generating a file. So first of all, you will see that by default, Odoo will propose a few things that you want to export. You can use a few templates. So if you want to use a series template, then Odoo is going to also export project ID, project templates. That is a template that is pre-created in Odoo. I didn't have to create it myself. If you start a new database, you will see that you have those kind of things. Otherwise, you can create a new template, give it a name. Let's imagine that I want to add the base unit of measure. Then I can create my template and call it Odoo Insider 1. And then if I save this, I can reuse it. Going back there, I see the base unit is added. So don't hesitate to abuse this. Use a lot of templates for the export. The thing is that when you want to create a new one, you need to quickly go on new templates. Sometimes people don't pay attention. And what can be really bothering is that you make a huge selection of different fields. Of course, here I'm selecting a few like this without paying too much attention. But sometimes you take some time to do it. And then you forget and you go another place and then you're lost and you need to redo it again. So you can also pay attention to the left-hand side. Here you see there's a little arrow. It means that you can dive into the information that you have. For example, let me check, like if I want to have the category parent ID for whatever reason, I can go there, say category. You see that it's bold, so it's also something that is necessary. It's a mandatory information that you need to have on the product. If I go there, I can dive and I can select, for example, what is the parent category? Yeah, you have the name here. For example, I would need it. Parent category, and if I want the parent category name, then I can dive. But then you see it's not possible to go further than this, so you have 3 levels, 1, 2, 3, every time split by slashes. So what is cool is that you can export a lot of information and dive into data for getting that information, but you cannot go further than this. There's a limit to what we make possible in terms of export, and that is 3 levels at the moment. So I could go and save this template, again, Odoo Insider 2. Let's do that. And you see that you can export in XLS or CSV. Of course, that is a bit different. I won't go into the specifics of the details of a CSV file or XLS. I think I will use a bit of both today. One thing that I wanted to mention that is especially important is this one. We are going to use that a lot today, or at least a few times, where I'm going to show the difference between checking this one or not. Let's have a look, by the way. I'm going to use that Odoo Insider 2 template, export, and see what it gives me in terms of results. My approach is always be very, very naive about what we do and see what Odoo has to offer. Okay, a few things you see here. We have the first row is containing the information that we exported, so that's why you have here the product category, parent category name. That's the one that we have here, and you see it's explained the same way, the same name that we have, same for here, product category name that we have over there. So pretty obvious, like the name that we have in terms of row headers here. Then there's data that is inside, and as you can already see, there are a few things that are sometimes floats or numbers, sometimes it's just text, sometimes it looks like text, but a bit technical one because there's underscore. So we are going to see that, of course, what you export depends on the field type. And then, very, very important, here you have the notion of ID. And you see, maybe you have already some notion of database administration, and you'll be like, okay, I see there's an ID, but this ID is just text, not a number that I'm used to see in my database. Usually it starts with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then it goes up and up and up, and it never goes down, and it should be a number. But that's because in Odoo we have 2 different notions in terms of IDs. I will come back to this in a few seconds, because that's one of the most important things. If there's one thing that you need to remember today, it's this. It's use the ID all the time, and have a look at what it is, that notion of XML ID. But before we dive into this, I would like to finish on a few things related to the export notion of Odoo. That is related to the template of export that we have here, and then go back to the XML ID. When we have a look at the template of export, obviously, let's say if I refresh my screen over there, you will see reselecting an item. Yeah, you always need to select something before you go there and click on export. If you click there on export, you will see that it is saved apparently, so it must be somewhere, and that somewhere, I need to explain that because there's no, I think to my knowledge, there's no place you can find it. You have here, if I tap export, you have a shortcut that you can access by simply starting to type something on the main screen. It's going to show me exporting, importing, translation. I'm not going to use that. That's not really the topic of the day, even though it's a bit related to the export import. But I'm looking at export templates, and in fact, a few things. I guess I will have the same demo on some other aspects of Odoo, but I'm going to add a new field or a new menu item so that I can directly find the export templates and the export template lines. But that is not something that you know that we make very visible. If I go and have a look at the models in the database, and I'm typing export, that's what I'm talking about. We have some exports and exports lines, and that is what we see when we go over there. That is the export, Odoo Insider, and then export lines are those lines. I'm mentioning this because sometimes you want to prepare maybe some export templates for your clients or for some of your users, because you are an advanced user and the other users, they don't know exactly how to select this or that. So it could be useful that for some clients you go there, you have the export export model. You can create a menu. I'm doing this in the database, but you know that you can reach the same kind of result with Studio. I'm not using Studio. It's not a choice. It's just that I'm used to this way of creating a menu, but working with Studio would work the same way. I would say export templates, and I'm going to put that into technical, which is a place that I really often use for creating a quick menu that only the admin has access to. Let's create that, go to technical. You won't see it there because I need to refresh my screen first. Refreshing, then going to technical. And it's going to be somewhere in the middle. Over there, yes, export templates. Otherwise, the same notion. Now if I type export, then I have access to the export templates over there. All right, and here I see Odoo Insider on 3D Insider 2, so apparently that is okay. And then I see the export lines, and I have all the technical names of the lines I'm exporting. So this, at least there's a moment where you may want to dive into this. Sometimes when you upgrade and that we change the name of a base field in Odoo, it could be that you get an error because you're going there and then you say, okay, I would like to export, and directly you will get an error, a pop-up message of Odoo saying that I don't know that field. And you'll be like, but why do I get an error at this moment? Usually, and you can maybe simulate that, that's because if I remove this field name, last letter at least, didn't test it on version 18, but previously when you had something like this, like calling a field that doesn't exist, Odoo would tell you, hey, no, there's a quick mistake here. Well, there's something wrong. So if I go there, click on export, load one of those. It's fixed. That's so cool. Let me check. List price. That is an Odoo Insider 1. What is it telling me? So if I go there, Odoo Insider 1, yeah, it avoids it now. It's even better. So the only thing is that you don't know that it's not existing. Now it fails silently, but that's cool. So let's go back to list price. Let's save. Maybe I didn't save. I just want to be sure of that. So I don't see it here, the list price, so maybe that's okay. So we have this on Odoo Insider 1. We don't see the list price. Let's retry this once again by refreshing. This is here, Odoo Insider 1. And now we have the list price. Excellent. So it means that what I wanted to show, which is usually you have a bug, or at least you have a traceback. Now we don't work it with it the same way. That we hide it and we say, okay, you don't have this anymore, even if it's not correct. We don't tell you. There's nothing like a big error coming on your screen. But you need to pay attention that the information is not there anymore. So there's no better or worse. It's just a different way of interpreting the result, which is, okay, if the field isn't known, then don't show an error for this one. Which means, on your side, as Odoo implementer, you need to go there and have a look at, do all these fields still exist on my model that is currently the product template. Okay, so that is it for the export. And I was telling you that we have the possibility to create our own export template. That is something that you do have. Another thing that you need to know related to the export, even if you will find it in the import records, is this. For lots of objects models that we have in Odoo, you will find a few templates that already exist and that we prepared for you. So if I go there and click on import templates for product, I go there. This is the result that will be given by Odoo, and that supposedly is already something that I can import. I'm going to test it right away and see if that is working. It could be that sometimes you don't have an import template for what you're looking for. Let me check. I'm pretty sure that I'm going to find a place where we don't have that import template. I suppose that for clients we have it. Do we have something for planning slots? I would be astonished that we have something like that. No, that's it. So you see, here we don't have it, but we do have import FAQ where you can go and learn about the export and import. I'm not going to spend time reading this because that you can do on your side. Very important is that when you're looking for some information inside our documentation, have a look at what we have to offer, because more and more we rely, of course, on the documentation, on some AI in the support pages, so that it's going to explain a lot of things around how to export things correctly. So that's the topic of the day, but it will be more like video based than just reading documentation, and have a look at where are the struggles when we do that. Okay. So going back here, import FAQ, we see that we have a few extra templates from time to time. I'm going to be, again, super naive and try to import the file that we received from Odoo. So I'm going here, importing record, uploading the file, and that is the yeah, that is my folder. If I want to import a file that is somewhere else, the one that I just downloaded. Another possibility is, by the way, you may know that here you have a drag and drop place. So I could go here in my downloads and select my last product template, drag and drop it here. You see you have a quick, you have an overlay that is showing that you are going to drag a file, and that is the one that was generated by Odoo. And if I test it, it's going to tell me, okay, everything seems valid. That is something that you will like. You will learn to like it, that message, when your import seems correct. And then if I'm importing this one, then okay, I have lots of other projects that have been generated by Odoo directly available, and it's taking into consideration the content of my files. Now, if I have a look at this and compare it with what I had in terms of file import, I can have a look at that. For example, here on my product template.xls, this is the one that I have. I was illustrating. We have a name, and if I want to have a look at this product, I can. Let's go there. Yes, that is the product that we have. 79 sales price, cost that is way too high, and that is what we have here. That is, of course, it should be an anomaly. Then you have some sales description. Do we have something for the sales description? Yeah, we have it here. So you see, so don't be lured by the fact that there's only one line. You see that here I have more information. Then it says that it's a product type goods, so that's why here it will say it's good, but you could be defining a bit more than this, like there's no barcode, for example. You could have a barcode that would be in the file. You can import pretty much anything, but you can see here already for the iPad mini, for example, you have a barcode. Let's have a look at this one. Okay, iPad mini, there you have the barcode that was given over there with even extra numbers. Just I think that there was a mistake in the import, but that's not really important for now. This one also, don't forget that you have there as well some import FAQ, and there's a lot of information over there that you may want to read, but I'm going to illustrate today during the import session. That link I know is not correct anymore, but just use the one that I've been clicking on a few seconds ago. The thing that I'm going to mention today will be contained here, but have a look, because sometimes it's really going to help, and import is simple when you know how it works. So really don't hesitate to go back there from time to time. Okay, so maybe something I need to mention is that here we are using some labels that are the columns on my file, and here I have name, product type, internal reference. But I was telling you that if I want to have this, and if I receive it from a client, maybe my client is French speaking, like I am, you can hear it, I'm pretty sure. It would be this barcode is English. In French it would be code barre. I'm not sure if there are two R's or just one, and then it will be prix de vente. You will have a few things like those ones, and this maybe Odoo is not going to interpret it very well, so it's also nice on your side to know the name of the field that you are going to import it to. So that is not mandatory. It's not something that I'm saying you need to master at all time, but it can be useful from time to time to know the name that you have. And then here it's the name, internal reference, I think it's default code. I'm saying this out of my memory, that is not really good if you know. Then we have barcode, that's okay. We have the sales price, I think it's list price, not sure, and then that's standard cost. Then that's weight, that is okay. And then you have is it sale description? I'm not sure. How can we check that? Usually when you are in debug mode, you will have the possibility to just hover the small question mark, and there you have barcode. Reference, it's default code, that's okay. And then we have the name, that is all right. Product type, what is it? Product type here, it's just type. So I could have said just type, that's even better. Default code we say. List price, is that okay? List price, and then sale description, that I'm not sure either. And then you have quotation description, and then it's a bit trickier because you don't have that question mark. A few things that you can do for finding the name of this. I'm going to give you two tips for this one. Either you can inspect and try to find the name of it, and you see here it's the name of the division that contains it. It's description sale, so it's not sale description, so that would work. You see here just changing the format and the font. Odoo doesn't care, so that would be all right. I just don't like it, and I prefer to use maybe something like going then the formula and just rewrite it so that I know it's the same font, but honestly, Odoo doesn't mind. All right, so that is the sales description. Otherwise, other way to find this, it's a bit more complex. It would be to go in the view like this. There you will have to struggle and find the place where it is located. That's sales description. And third way you could do that. I was going to say two, but in fact there's a third one. But then it requires a bit of guessing as well, which is going here and have a look at the fields. So I think we'll dive into this a few times today, but you can have a look at the fields and say, okay, I'm looking for description, and then you will find maybe one that you want, and then you have the field label that can help you. The type of the field is going to help you as well, because you will see that it's a text field or HTML field, it depends, and you know which one you are going to target. On a product, there are lots of fields here. I just have a few modules installed. I already have more than 130 fields. What you could do is also group per field type, and then it allows to have a look at, okay, I'm just looking for a text field. It must be one of these ones. Difference between text field and HTML field, you see here it's pure text. I can type slash, it doesn't bring anything, while here this one is HTML. You will see this kind of overlay with a few extra things that you can bring, and if you start with a slash, it's going to propose a bit of font decoration that you can use because it will be displayed in a place that obviously will be interpreted by a browser, so it's HTML code, so you can make it nicer for people that are going to view it compared to something that will be purely text-based. All right, so it means also that if I want to have an e-commerce description in there, I'm going to export information that will have a specific format and contain HTML code. Let's give it a try. It's going back to the export again, but it's important. So let's try to have some bullet list like and say point 1, point 2, and then have something with header saying super important. If we do that, and I'm going to export that iPad mini stuff, and I'm deciding to export, I think it was the website description, right? Let's see that website description. Not sure if it was this one. Let's see website sequence, and you see already here a few things, and maybe it's not, yeah, here, I think that's the one that I want. I'm going to remove a few things here because I only need this one. If I export that, what do we have? No, it's not the correct one. So you see, it's not that easy. Let me come back to this again. Here, e-commerce description, so it's maybe not website. So do we have, if I say description, we have, yeah, e-commerce description. So it's not exactly the same. So going there, you see, sometimes it's a bit tricky. You need to know how to look for the information you want exactly. And then you see that is what you get. All right. So it means that potentially, going back to this, let's make it a bit bigger for you guys on the screen. So it means that if you want to import stuff that is already having a format in HTML, you could do that by simply having a way to generate that content in HTML/XML, as long as Odoo can interpret it, that is okay. So you can apply your own styling, and it will be shown the same way in the description. Of course, that I'm at the moment using the backend of Odoo to generate this description, but maybe you know that this can be also generated by drag and dropping items from the front-end side. That is also a possibility. Okay, so that is a bit of export, and I was telling you that there was something very, very important that I wanted to cover today, which is the XML ID. Don't you think that it is a bit weird to consider the following? I'm going to re-import something that is related to that file, and maybe I have another one, in fact, for which I already have something prepared. Is it the one, or it's the same that I'm opening here? Yeah, I could maybe reuse this. I'm going to reuse a file over there. It's pretty much the same definition. I'm on purpose forgetting and removing the ID information. I'm going to use this, and we have Apple in-ear headphone, and let's see. I think it already exists because I imported it with ecom 8. Yeah, that's the code that we have. So if I am to re-import this one, so we see it's the sheet one. I'm going to call it maybe something different, like re-import. If I re-import it, I'm reusing that file. I'm saying, okay, I would like to import records, and I'm going to use, is it this one, the product template one that we have? Sheet 1. No, I have several files that have the same name, so that's why. I suppose that is the other one. Let's go back there, let's re-import, and let's drag and drop my file that is here. Okay. And then we have the sheet one that I want to use. Okay, so with the sales description, blah, blah, blah. So if I'm importing this one, okay, I have a second Apple in here thing. And if I want to re-import it again, yeah, again, not the right file. Let's go there, re-import it again. Let's drag and drop the file I'm using. Okay, import. Then that is me not selecting the right sheet. Let's do it again. Not from there. Okay, right here. So if I'm doing this, I test, I import. Okay, this time I have 3 times Apple in here headphone. In fact, if you have a look and you are in debug mode, you can check the metadata and you will see, okay, I imported it at that time, so which was like just at the moment. Then another one that was imported, not there, that was imported metadata just before, and a third one that was maybe imported a bit earlier. Yes, 10 minutes ago. And you see it's giving me a few extra things there simply because Odoo receives the following information in the XML in the XLS file. So it says, please import a product whose name is Apple in your headphone. It's a good, and then you have a bunch of other information related to that product. There's no way Odoo can know, or it could guess eventually based on the name that it's the same product. So Odoo is going to tell me, okay, you bring me a new product. I don't think I'm importing it right away. So because of that, you are going to generate lots of duplicates. And one thing that you need to do in order to avoid those duplicates is to use the notion of external ID. So in the file that we present to you and that you can get from the export templates when you are in Odoo, we already prepare something with the external ID here. There it's just simply saying product template 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, blah, blah, and that information you can reuse it to re-import. So let's imagine I want to change and put a barcode on lots of different things there, or change the price because from one year to another I would like to have maybe a price that is the new price, so list price, and I'm going to say old price here. And we could say this one, okay, it's supposedly this one, oops, the other one like F2 times 1.2, all right, because I need to have my price higher. I know we could use the prices for this. The idea here is just to show an update that we can bring. So if you want to impact the prices, you could do that and re-import the list price, and it's going to target the same product because we target the product based on the external ID. So if I go there, I import my records, upload the file, go to my product template, but again, it's not the right file. I'm going to move it, otherwise I know I'm going to make a mistake. I'm going to name it this way, put it there. Now, yes, that's the one I want. Okay, so I have my re-import. We know that there's no ID, but I'm going to reuse the templates for which I already have the external ID. I can test it. It's telling me everything is fine. You see that because I changed the data, the header, it's going to tell me, okay, that field, don't know. So that's why it's asking me, hey, just select a field. This one, standard cost, apparently it's not the right field. I thought it was, it's not. So maybe that's what I could do. Is having a look at the name of the field. It's standard price, not standard cost. So that's why, well, I could review that, but we don't care so much for the exercise. Okay, if I'm testing this, it works. And if I import, now, of course, I still have my 3 things here, but which one is the correct one? I know it's the one with the sale price that is there, that has been updated to 20% more than the previous one. So first of all, I could maybe clean this and delete. All right, and then I see all my prices have been reviewed. Again, it could be done through the price list over there, just for the example that I'm giving you this. So very, very important, coming back to this again, because we have an external ID, we can identify the product that really we want to target. And you can have, that is something that you are going to give yourself. There's no real criteria that we are going to use. Maybe the only thing that I can think of is be sure that you are not going to have on this sheet and maybe to another one that you import for the same client but from another source with the same external ID if it's not the same product. So your job is to be sure that you are not going to re-import different products with the same ID. We call that external ID or XML ID. That's because we find it in a lot of XML files, so both names I will use today. Another thing that is important is that usually I prefer on my side to use a module name, and then there's a dot, and then the XML ID something. That is because Odoo will consider usually that you have a left-hand side and a right-hand side, and the left-hand side is usually the module from which you import your external ID. I'm going to tell you a bit more about that module notion after. If you don't have it like here, there's no dot separating a left-hand side and a right-hand side. This is what it will give you. We go back to Odoo and we have a look at what is the XML IDs we use, and that you can find in metadata here. It's going to say import. It's going to complete that left-hand side with information that we hard-coded somewhere in Odoo, and so that's why here product template number 2, if I have a look, it's the one that we have here. That's of course the Apple wireless keyboard. That is okay. So there we see the XML ID, and in fact that's where you can make the link between XML ID, a model, and the ID inside the model, because here we have all the information we need. When we give an XML ID to Odoo, and that's what Odoo is doing when you send an XML or a CSV file, well, when you import something, because it's not only through XML or XLS, it could be through CSV or even through the API. You can call a record through its XML ID name. So when you give it that, it will be like, okay, you're asking me to look for something that is called in total import.productTemplate2. What is it? It is a record of type product template with the ID 29. In fact, it doesn't know that. The only thing that it has in terms of information is this. And it will look at one specific place in Odoo. That is a place where you find all the external identifiers. If I'm typing this, it will be like, okay, what is the one that I want? And it's not going to have a look at some similarity. It's going to have a look at the exact name that we gave. So it's the first one. It's going to say, okay, you give me this as an entry point. Not even that. I'm giving this. It knows that if it's an import, it's going to complete it. If we say import, all right, it is that's chain of character. If you tell me it's an ID, an XML ID, it's related to what? To the model name product template. So it's identifying a model inside Odoo. It's telling me in that table of Odoo, the record ID is record 29. So this means product template number 29. And that is sufficient for Odoo to know what it needs to change. So this means also that I just don't want to confuse you, but it's important to realize that it acts as a key to find the right ID behind. So let me create a new product that is totally, let's go here, totally new. New product stealing XML ID. I could do something a bit weird like this one. I see here the ID in the database is 56. I could go there and say in my external identifiers, let's find this one and say now I don't want 29, but I want 56. And then it's going to tell me, hey, this is the one that we want when we say product template number 2. So if I'm going to rewrite something now, I'm going to rewrite the name of that product to the previous name because the XML ID corresponding to it here will tell me it will be an Apple wireless keyboard. So let's take this information, put it in internal notes so that I can come back to this later. Let's re-import the file. Same file, import again, uploading my product templates over there. I think it was the first one that we have here. And so if I'm looking for my product named like this, I won't find it. But if I'm looking for my Apple wireless, then I won't find one but two. One that had the previous XML ID and the new one for which I reused the XML ID that was the one of my new product. So you see, it's just a matter of using a chain, a char, a string, I should say, that we are going to link to an ID of a table or an ID of a model inside Odoo. So that is how Odoo is going to operate and understand the XML ID. And we use that in lots of different places. You may see that we use that here because we import stuff in a CSV file or an Excel file, but you will see that in lots of different places, even in what Odoo is importing by default in terms of basic data that you need to operate properly. The first thing that I'm thinking of is are the countries or the currencies. It's always there in Odoo. You don't know it because you don't think about it, but it's always existing. So if I go to the countries and then I have a look at this, I didn't have to import it. It's already there. If you start a new database on Odoo, you will get this. And if I want to have a look at the the metadata and the XML ID that we have, you will see that here it's a base AF for Afghanistan, and it's going to every time. That's just a decision we made. Let's have base dot ISO code of the country on 2 characters, and that is okay. Same for, I think, currencies. There, if I go and have a look at euro, then this time it will be base dot the 3 letters of the currency. So a few data like this. It is Odoo that is generating it, and that you will find it in GitHub, usually in the files of Odoo. So it's important to realize that XML ID notion is permanent. You will find it in lots of different places in Odoo, and maybe the place where I wanted to, well, that was illustrating inside the currencies and the countries is here. I think in the add-ons, in the base add-ons, and then you have data. That's usually where it will be located. And you see we have rest country, rest currency. That's what we are talking about. So that's why we have a rest country type of record. Then it's Andorra, it's AD, and then that AD is the right-hand side, and the left-hand side base is here. It's the name of the module that is importing it. So that's why base AD is going to be the ID of Andorra. We can have a look at this Andorra. That's here. That is why this, when you see this base.ad, it's coming really from this file. It's coming from base. That's the module uploading it, and the ID is here for this one. Same for currency. We were discussing about USD, Euro, and so on and so forth. The rest of the information here is contained in the record, while the ID that we have here is really the metadata. So that's why here it will be a base VEF. But when you see this and you have a look at the data, you don't realize that there are lots of other things that we import just with modules, like a few scheduled actions, for example. There are a few other things that you will find, like basic user, like what is the root user, what is the admin user, a few extra things like those ones you will find. Another thing that you will have a lot, I'm not going to dive really a lot into this, but we use a lot of the XML IDs when we discuss the views inside Odoo. So if you are part of the show, you know that I often go and have a look at what is a view exactly. You can go and have access to all the views from here, views, and then you will see your external ID. And that means that when there's an external ID with the left-hand side that belongs to a module that is part of Odoo, it means that that's the external ID that is a property of Odoo, and that we are potentially going to rewrite on the view. But same notion that we have here. So you see, if I'm selecting this one, and I'm saying, okay, the XML ID is this one, base underscore setup, then dot, then rest config, blah, blah, blah. If I go in the external identifiers, I'm typing this, you see that right-hand side, we have a lot of modules linked to that right-hand side, but every time the left-hand side is different. That's simply because I was naive. I clicked on a view for which we use always the same right-hand side name, while the left-hand side is contained in a module. It's simply a place where we are going to change the rest config is really a particular place in Odoo. Those are the views that we have here that allows you to select a few extra, all those the places on the left and the field that we create here usually are contained in these rest config settings things. So that's why we create new views every time that we have a new module that adds a checkbox, that adds a new option there. It means there will be a new view. So that's really, you have a lot, and you see that here and that is maybe what is impressive here, and that you need to realize in terms of numbers. I don't have a lot of data inside my database. Obviously, I just created a few products, but if I have a look at my contacts, I don't even have demo data. But having this contained with just a few modules here, I already have something like almost 30,000 different external IDs. Okay, so that is important to know and to see where it is located. All right, that is the XML ID introduction that I wanted to cover. It's also possible to delete one if you want, but then it means that if I'm deleting an XML ID, if I go there and I select this one, I delete it. Next time I'm going to re-import the file, the XML ID won't exist, so Odoo won't find the right product behind. So I'm going to duplicate my information. You got it right, I believe, when thinking about what I was going to say. So maybe Is there an extra thing that I need to mention about the XML ID? Yes, one thing that I really like about it is that it can be used the same way depending on the database. So if I want to reuse my file on another database, it will be exactly the same. Because in a way, let's open a demo environment, and then it will be maybe a bit longer for this one. But the same file, I can import it on a completely different database, as it's not going to point in a direct way at the database integer, at the raw number inside the database. Is going to give me an external ID that will try to find in turn the right place in the database. It means that my same file, I can import it in different databases. Like if I'm reusing this one, I import directly, it is working, and I imported just my 25 records. This one, so let me check. Yeah, we see the Apple in here at phone. This makes me think of a specific case. Sometimes you make a mistake and you realize it, and you're like, okay, I need to delete what I just imported right now. And you did that in a database that already contains some information. If I have a look at my file here, I have 26 lines, so 25 products I imported, but I already had more than 100 before, so I'll be like, okay, I imported junk in my database and I need to remove it. How do I do that? One way, eventually, is trying to find something that is common to all these items. And one thing that is common is the date at which it was created, or if not created, written, so updated. So what I could do is have a look at this one. I know that this item was created just now, like at a specific second that I'm going to find. And I can go there and check in terms of metadata. I see, okay, it was created at that moment. That's the creation date, and obviously the latest modification date is the same. But I could try to find, then I need to pay attention to the notion of maybe time zones or UTC, be sure that the time I'm going to give is correct. But if I go there and say created on, I could reuse maybe that information and see, do we have a few records that have been created at that time? And if I'm doing that, here you see, oops, it's not matching, so maybe the date is not correct, or the hours. Yes, okay. It looks like it's okay. Maybe it was 10 exactly, because I know that sometimes we have a time difference, but it could be potentially something that you can select. Maybe it's 1 hour later. If it's not that precise, usually you can do it to the second, and that would work. What you could do is say in between, for example, and maybe reuse between this and that. And again, I'm not sure that the filter is correct here because of the time zone difference and the criteria that I'm using, but you get the idea. The idea is to say, let's have a look at all the products that have been created between two dates, and obviously target something that is very, very small, so that you can find eventually products that are matching this. And you see here, the only thing that I know is that it's related to time zone. I can make it a bit bigger so that I realize if I'm doing this, all right, we can maybe find over there between 12, I can say maybe 10. And we'll see, yeah. And then we find it a bit more. No, it's 25, it's okay. I need to find exactly what is the right hour, so that you get it right just with one criteria, giving exactly the same timestamp. But that would work. Another thing it would be that you reuse some salespeople, or you enter some information in another field so that you can target it. So if I had used, for example, my user ID something, I would have had someone that would be mentioned in the user ID. Usually there's someone that is the product manager or something like this. I could use some kind of information so that I can filter on it after and then find all the records I need to delete. That's a potential thing I could do as well. All right, so that is another powerful thing that you can do with importing. Notion of XML ID or external ID we've covered. So maybe it's time now to create our own first import file right from scratch. And we can do that maybe together by trying to create an import file for companies and contacts. So we are going to do that together. Just a quick sip. You know I'm talking a lot, so that's why I need that. Let's remove all of this. All right. And then we can create a new one over there. Empty table, and do it very, very naive. Again, I'm going to write ID name. I'm going to create a few companies, and let's see what we can do about that. So maybe some street and then country ID information here. And here already, I'm going a bit too fast because I see that country ID, and that's because I know the name of the field, but otherwise, somebody that doesn't know it already would say country. I suppose that would be it, but I can already tell you that it's country underscore ID, because I like to directly do something that will make me earn a bit of time later, which is give the exact name of the field, so that I don't need to select it after that in the import window. So let's check the ID over there, and let's say, okay, it will be I import, and then let's say it would be customer 1, so that if I have several ones, I will be able to use it after. I would say Odoo, Microsoft, and then maybe Coca-Cola, all right, Facebook. Okay, and we can do that over here, just extend, and if I'm doing my street stuff here, Union Street, California Street, a bit of French name, and then all right, and then we say it's in Belgium, and I'm going to play a little bit with this. Here we say it's France, then we say here it's France as well, and then it's also Belgium, and voluntarily a few errors that I'm going to make, then I'm saving this one in my import session today, and we say it's going to be my contact stuff that I want to import. So we are going to have a look at a few of the errors that Odoo can give me, thanks to the errors I made on purpose here. So if I go in my customers and I say I would like to import a few records, I'm going to import my contacts, and then if I test this one, it's going to tell me, hey, that is okay. Apparently it works. I'm curious about one at least, because here I'm using Belgium, and I don't know why it would understand it, but let's try it. If I'm importing it, okay, apparently Odoo is accepting and going to tell me, okay, I found something that is reasonably close. And it didn't mind too much about using something that was uppercase or lowercase, which is usually a surprise to me, because I prefer to use something that is a bit more technical, and that is the list of IDs, and as we said, usually it's base BE, and that's, if I really want to know what I'm going to import, I could use that. If I want to modify it and say that it's not in France in the end, but it's, I don't know if it's Australia or Austria, I have a doubt now, but maybe I should say it's in Germany, so that at least we know. I could be doing that and say, in fact, I just want to change the country because I made a mistake, and that's updating information here that I'm going to use. I could say import records, upload file, going back to the contact. Testing this one, okay, re-importing, and then we see that it's in Germany, Belgium now. All right, because that is simply because I know that country here, that information, if I'm giving /ID, it's, I didn't explain that, but it's because I'm going to give it the external ID. And usually, please, that I was telling you that XML ID is super important. When you try to import stuff, try to give it the ID, because then there's no typo discussion, there's not a risk of selecting your wrong information. Try to find the ID is unique, and so it will be better for you to target always the right ID, exactly what you need. Also, Odoo can accept both. So if I'm going here, I'm saying let's put back France everywhere. Here again, if I'm doing this, what would be the interpretation of Odoo? We're going to have a look, and we can do that. Importing here contacts, you can see. I have country ID, and then with /ID, and then extra country ID. If I'm doing this, it's telling me, yeah, you know, it's ambiguous. You tell me two different things, so tell me which one you want. And there you see that on one side, it's showing me a many-to-one. It's the same field anyway, but there it's directly the many-to-one with the name. Or it's saying, okay, it's a many-to-one, but behind you want to give me the external ID. So that is here. Usually that's what I prefer. So if I remove this one, I retest, then it will be all right, and I can re-import. That's what I want. So if you receive, that's usually the situation. If I have a look at the import that we have on our side, that is what the client will give you. client info, and sometimes you will need to use something like a VLOOKUP notion. That is also a tool that you really need to master, that kind of thing. So if you have France, Belgium, let's say Netherlands, and let's say US, just like this, and you need to find the information here because you simply don't have it. What you can use is a VLOOKUP, and that's maybe the time where you are going to learn how to use it. Otherwise, use a bit of AI, that's going to help you. But the VLOOKUP is, how am I going to find the XML ID based on some information that is giving me the client? And it looks like, okay, but it's easy, it's base.fr, but that's because I told you, sometimes you won't have the XML ID notion, and you need to find it yourself different ways. And also, sometimes you'll have Netherlands, sometimes you'll have the Netherlands, sometimes you'll be in the USA or United States of America and not US or USA. So you have lots of different variants for the country names, why it's supposedly something that we all agree on. So another possibility would be to go there, go on the countries inside Odoo and say, you know what, let's select everything. And by the way, very important, if you want to export more than the list length, don't forget to click on here, that section. You say action export, and then you say, I would like to update it later, even though it's not true. So selecting the name and the code, that would be sufficient because Odoo is going also to give me the ID. And doing this, I'm going to my other file. I'm saying, okay, this is what I need. And I'm going to move the B column before the A column because I'm going to make the research based on the first column. And here, I'm going to say, you know what, let's try to find France. France inside, is it yeah, it's a comma that I need to use. Sometimes it's comma, sometimes it's semicolon, so pay attention. And in those two columns, I would need the column number 2 that is going to give me a result, and I'm saying false at the end because I want the exact result. Most of the time, you're going to use false. 2 is the column that we need. And if I'm doing this, at least, yeah, B and L, it's working. US, it's not working. Why? We can have a look because here I suppose that if I change the country code and have a look at the US, what is it? It's United States. So I will need to change this, and either that is your turn to decide that. Either you discuss with your client and you say to your client, okay, you know what, your data is not correct because sometimes I have US, sometimes I have USA. Oops, USA, and so you need to clean your data so that at least you have something that is consistent. Why would you have that? Because the other database that they were using was not a relational database, or they had several entries that were duplicated where you had different countries. It happens all the time, believe me. But so a bit of cleanup, either on your side or your client side, trying to find a solution. But if it's United States, then you see directly it finds, thanks to the VLOOKUP, the right value. So it's not only for the countries, because usually countries, that's super easy, that you have a list inside Odoo and you can trust that list. You can generate the XML ID or find the XML ID based on a VLOOKUP. Sometimes it's a bit different than this. Here so far I've only created enterprises, but let's have a look. Are those really enterprises? Because first I'm telling you that, but I'm not even sure. Are those really, that's a demo database, I don't need it. All right. Are those really enterprises? If I'm checking here, I think I imported on the other database. It's not a big deal. Okay, contacts, let's re-import it. Import my record, blah, blah. Import, okay. And you see here the logo says it's enterprise. Cool. If I go there, it says company. Okay, correct. But what if I want to import an individual? Let's try it, and let's try to import my information. So let's go there and say, let's import my information inside same company. And then how do I mention a company, which would be a parent person? So here it's super easy. I could add my contact name over there, or I could go here and say, you know what, I'm an individual and my name is Antoine Uvel, and what I need is to say that I'm part of Odoo. Okay, so it's going to reselect the same information there. But I would need the name of the field that is here. Remember what we said earlier, it's the parent ID field. So we see it here, parent ID, so that's something I can reuse here and say, okay, if it's new data, it's a new column that I need to import. And either I'm saying parent ID and I'm saying that here it's Odoo, or usually, as you know, because you have homonyms, because people will tend to use and create whatever you want to do, duplicate information inside a database, I usually prefer to say, okay, I'm going to use Odoo, but I will use a XML ID instead. Again, here I'm copy pasting, but it would be better to use the notion of VLOOKUP that we discovered before. So it means if you have a look at that here, I'm importing companies and contacts. Let's have a look at what I'm doing now. Let's re-import that and see what Odoo is telling me. Re-importing the contact over there, testing this. Apparently it's okay. If I import, good. So here I have Antoine, that is part of Odoo in France. Cool. So is it the same way if I go the other way? Yeah, there I have two Antoines. Why? Because I created one manually and I created one through the script. So I maybe need first to remove those ones because I want to be sure of what I'm importing. And by the way, as I'm not very smart, you see that I also have a third one that is here, that is my user at the moment, but I know it's the one with an email. So what I can do is remove this one, take it, delete, and retest it now by re-importing my information. All right, let's redo it again. Doing this, testing, importing. Okay, then only one Antoine, but if I go there, it's telling me I'm a company, even though I'm a company inside Odoo. So that is a bit weird. Maybe I want to change that information because I see I have a company with a company inside, and I would prefer to label it as individual. There as well, I would need to reuse some information like company type, but then I don't know exactly the value that it has. So another way I can do is go in the fields and say, we said type, company type here. We have different value, and I would say it's a person. So I look here, person as a company type. So I can say company type and say here that would be a person. I'm leaving this blank because lots of places Odoo is going to use a default value. So if you paid attention here, I didn't specify something in the company type and it was working because it was creating companies right off the bat. While on my side here now I want to say it's a person, so I need to specify it. So it means that lots of places when there's a default value, if you keep that empty, even though it's something that is expected by Odoo, it's required. Let me check. I don't know if it's required. Is it? No, it's not required. So that would be okay if there were no value. But even for required field, default value would sometimes be very, very useful. So let's use that and let's save it and see if it's working better now. So here my Antoine guy inside Odoo, that is a company. Import record, upload. Okay, contact. Import, and no, it's not the right one. Here you see that is okay. I'm an individual now, and you see that also the name changed because it's prefixing with Odoo comma. Name of the person because it's a person and not a company, and that's the way we display the name when we are part of a company. Okay, so lots of things that we've seen there in terms of relationship between the different models and different records that we have inside Odoo. On my side, let's imagine that we want to import another person, and let's import Arthur. Arthur, can I use your name? Or maybe you don't want to know who you are. Should I use your last name?
Use my name.
I use your name.
Don't worry.
Perfect. So that is you. Prepare to be super, super famous. Did I write it right? I'm not even sure. Yes. The two R's?
What? No, only one R.
Yeah, but so that's correct because there's only one if you have a look. So that's correct.
Oh, on my screen it's so tiny. That I see two. Oh, it's fine.
Okay,
yeah.
good.
Repeats.
So I'm going to say the same. We are going to be both part of the same company. And doing this, let's go back there. I'm re-importing a record and I'm doing the same job once again. And now, oh, where's Arthur? Ah, it's here. Ah, because it's Microsoft. Why? Because you see, I didn't pay attention. You don't want to be part of Microsoft. I know.
I'm an Apple user.
But you will be a Odoo fanboy anyway, so I'm going to put you back in Odoo.
Odoo is fun.
Let's go back there. And now it is okay, you're back to Odoo. All right, so we're both there. Very important, you can see what I'm doing here. I'm saying, okay, I'm reusing information to say that Antoine and Arthur are part of the same customer here. That is a company, that is Odoo, and that is defined before. Now, let's pay attention to something different. Let's say that I want now to create another company. Let's reuse part of the same information that would be here. Let's say that it would be number 7 and say not Facebook, but who could we be using? Let's say a bank. Let's say it's ING. All right. We are going to use the same information there, but let's imagine that we want to say that we have someone special working there. let's insert our row below and say that at ing, that is, maybe I should say this differently, at ing, we have someone is here that is also a person, and we say that is John Doe. John Doe is working at ing. Very good. Let's do that. You maybe already guessed what will be wrong, but if you didn't, let's have a look at it together. And what it's telling us, if I import this, it's telling me, hey, in fact, you're trying to import someone, but I don't know what is the parent company. And you could be telling me, but it's easy. The parent company here, you see, customer 8 is over there. Yes, but Odoo, at least the import file, understands the thing followingly. It's going to go from top left to bottom right in order to import. So at the moment where you import John Doe, it doesn't know that ing exists. So that's why here, as ing is not part of my database and not above my file at the moment I'm creating John Doe, Odoo is going to block you and say, sorry, but I don't see what you're telling me in terms of that person. It doesn't exist yet. While changing this and putting it here in the other direction, that would work. I can re-import. Yeah, I need to reload my file. And then if I re-import, what is happening? Did I save? I guess not. Let me check that again. Yeah, that is correct. And now I have ing with John Doe inside. I simply didn't save before. So that will work. And it's super important because sometimes you will get errors. Simply import first the companies and then the contacts. Try to find a way to do that, maybe with some filtering and then recreating a file, or create two files, because sometimes people say, okay, but is it possible to do the following? Just import this first, and then maybe I should do it differently. Go there and re-import that second part after. Let's make this bigger as well and reuse the same information that we have here. All right. That would work as well. It's important to realize that importing this way, first the sheet 1, then the sheet 3, that would work also. It's just two different imports in different order, but that is going to work. It's up to you to choose if you prefer to have everything in one file or two different files. Usually I'm trying to keep things simple, so most of the time I'm going for a split of files, because then it makes things more like human understandable. You see your file, you see what is inside. You have companies on one side, contacts on another one. It helps also sharing the file with a client. So if you have a file with, like, let's say 20 or 50 different columns, it will be really easy. You are going to argue on lots of different things. By the way, it's super important also, since you have an ID here, you can have already part of the information that is imported, and the rest you will import later. That will work as long as you still can trust the external ID. So sometimes clients say, okay, but I have a lot of other things I want to import, but their data is not clean yet, existing and not formatted correctly. We say, okay, but you know what, we can import already 80% of it, and the 20 next percent it will be later when your file is ready. Also, something that is very important that we use for products and contacts is that usually the ID here would be something that is how do we say that, concatenation of our information, maybe client information. Very often we have something that is given by the client that is a unique number. Let's say former ERP unique number. You have something like this, and it would be a reference that they use because they have a previous software that was also using a database, so there were also IDs notion, maybe just a numeric ID, but in that case it's okay, because it could be 3, it could be 4, it could be 123, something like this one, up until something very, very high. And if you do that, you could say, okay, but then I'm going to create my ID as the concatenation of this, and with a dot, and then you give the other text that would be just that. And that would work, and you could, maybe I should say a bit longer, customer. This would work, maybe with also a quick fix with underscore, and you would do this. That would work as well. So part of the thing is yours. You have your own methodology for naming the XML IDs, while on the other side, the right-hand side is coming from the other ERP. So if they have their former ERP somewhere and they trust it, they like it, for whatever reason, they will need it later, you can reuse that information, because maybe for the time being it's going to allow you to know what goes with what. So it could be, that kind of thing could be useful. Okay, so I'm going back because if I re-import this, of course, I'm going to duplicate my information. You know, it will be a different ID, so that's maybe better if I come back to something more simple. In terms of contacts, I told you that I imported this one, saying that here we have a company, and if you have several records inside a company, you can create another file with every time a record mentioning the parent ID. At the same time, we could have done that a bit differently, saying, for example, that inside Odoo, you would have had something a bit different, and I would add two different rows and say, okay, inside this one, we could have this, going back there and say, we have Antoine and Arthur, and they are part of parent ID. We are going to reuse Odoo as we did. That could be done, or we could say, in fact, I don't want to import it that way, but rather say that instead of mentioning the parent ID, I'm going to mention the child, and this time it's IDs. And child IDs, it's something slightly different. It's the same notion, but it's having a look at the other side of the relationship, where instead of importing the children as a different file, I'm going to use the one-to-many, so the other relationship between a company and the potential contacts. So if I want to explain that with that screen, instead of trusting that field to import John Doe, I'm going to use that field here to import John Doe, which is a field that accepts multiple value, because you see I can add a new contact that would work. So I could instead go on Odoo and create things from here by adding new stuff. It's more or less what we are going to achieve here. We could do that on the contact, but I know that we are going to have a look at this on the journal entries as well just after. So maybe this one, I just wanted to mention it. But if I'm doing this child ID's ID here, I would need to say child ID name, then to give another name. And in order to see that it will be imported, I'm going to change and add just a little 2 after the name of Arthur and my name. And let's see if it can be imported like that. Then that notion of is it a person, I should use it as well. This time again prefixed by child IDs, and then say company type. And I'm going to say that it's a person, and then a person again. And we can remove G and F here and delete that, saving. And let's see if Odoo accepts it. And we'll see what it says. So we still have Antoine and Arthur without any 2s. Let's retry again. And if I test, yeah, it seems okay. And then we have Antoine and Arthur too. It didn't create new record. It was, again, reusing the XML IDs. That's because I added those IDs there, because if I remove that, as you can guess, it's going to link it properly to Odoo. Potentially, yes, it will. But it's going to recreate them. So let's try this time with a tree, and let's see what it's saying. I'm not even sure that would work. In fact, I have a doubt, but let's try. We'll see what it says. If we import, yes, now we have Antoine tree, Arthur tree. That's because we didn't give it an XML ID. Otherwise, when we had an XML ID, at least it was sure it was targeting the right child record. So that is why this is the same as using the first Odoo and then going there. It's just the opposite relationship. But that's something that you need to master, because sometimes you don't have access to the right menu item to import your file. On my side, in terms of preference, I prefer really to use 2 different sheets, import companies first and then contacts after. Makes it easier to manage, transfer to the client, discuss with your client when you need to import it. Okay, so that is for the contact. We spent already a bit of time on that. Maybe something that I can mention is the notion of tags, because I think we have a few on the contacts. Let me try that here. Yeah, we have tags. So what tags do we have? Okay, I'm going to add a few ones, service and IT. Okay, so we have this, so they exist. I will remove them right away, so at least I can reselect them. And I'm going to say, okay, Odoo is part of the IT and service industry. Let's go back there. I'll remove these ones. I'm going to make it simple again. And then I need my column name. Which one am I going to use here? I can have a look at the tags. Category ID, and either we can give it an ID or we can give it a name. Maybe this time I'm going to contract that myself and I'm going to reuse services and IT. But if I do this services IT and that for Coca-Cola, I would like to use both. And I don't know how to do it. I can already tell you that you can go there and say use just a comma to import this. And let's try. Usually that's how we manage also many-to-many relationships with just a comma. We can import that record over here, and let's try again. Testing, at least it seems to work. It could understand my category because it's saying you import tags. It's telling me that what I'm doing. To import multiple values, separate them by a comma. Importing, then let's have a look at Odoo first. Odoo cool, services is selected, and if we have a look at Coca-Cola, where are they? Yes, then we have both. And what if I want to remove the values from Coca-Cola and from Odoo? We can try two things, false or empty thing. Let's try to see what Odoo is going to tell us. Importing the record again. Oh, no, not this one. That's not the right file. Contact, and if I test, it's telling me, yeah, false doesn't work. Okay, let's remove false and let's put again IT and services. And here you see, we can make that mistake, but now I'm going to tell you right away. Please don't use space, because if you use space, it expects the space to be part of the name, and services start not with a space, but with an S. So that would be important as well. Let's reload the file. Let's test it again. Seems okay. Let's go back on Odoo. Odoo was updated. This time I have two different values, and let's have a look at Microsoft. Was it? No, not Microsoft. Coca-Cola. And Coca-Cola, yeah, it's empty. So you see how to void some value also during the import. That is going to work fine, at least for many-to-many fields. That's another one that you can have. So again, as I mentioned, one file or several files, it really depends. Preferably on my side, several files. Also, something that is worth mentioning is that when you import records, if Odoo detects that you are using a super heavy file, here you don't see it, but it's going to propose, hey, if you have thousands and thousands of lines, do you want to import them with smaller batches of 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 items? And usually, it depends, you can have a few tests, but it's important to realize that you should select an amount that can be imported in less than 15 minutes, which is the default time for Odoo to have a timeout. So here you would have, usually I think the default value is 2000. Odoo feels comfortable on the SaaS easily to import 2000 records in less than 15 minutes. Honestly, it's usually easy. So you could make it maybe 5,000, 10,000, but at some point if you have like 100,000 of items to import, you need to go with batches. Maybe the same file, but with batches. Important as well, in one file, CSV, it's possible to generate a file of 100,000 lines, but regular Excel, not XLSX, but XLS file limit rows. I think there's 50, yeah, that's also something that you need to take care of. Odoo is going to, well, not Odoo, but Excel cannot accept more than this in a row. Same for also the cell length. When you import something that is more than 55,000 characters inside the cell, it's not going to be able to import it. Here you see that XLSX, it's a bit higher, but yeah, it's like anyway, yeah, a bit more than 1 million. So important to keep those numbers in mind. It's not Odoo that is going to block you, it's Excel or the format itself, XLS or XLSX, though. Important to realize that kind of errors that you will have. Okay. What we can do also is have a look at some product import. You will see that lots of things will be similar with the products. I remember that during one of the previous Odoo Insider session, we made an import with the library, that's worth mentioning, of Thibaut François. So this one, I think, yeah, if you have a look at the previous recording of Odoo right here, there's one about importing with Emanuele on Odoo Insider. So have a look at this one. We go through import of product and variants, I think. Not sure about the variants, but we use a script. I'm not going to do that today, but keep in mind that exists as well. Scripting your import is also possible. I'm going to use something that is quite easy at the moment, but I wanted to use the products for at least two things. importing images in two different ways, and also mentioning the notion of categories that are sometimes important on products. I've been importing some products already, but I cheated a little bit because Odoo was giving me the file. So if I want to redo it on my side and re-import the file that was given by Odoo, here you see we have lots of product, but I'm missing something. I'm missing some idea of having a default category that I can use. That's something that I would like to improve. So let's put some category. And then I would like to use maybe some images. And I'm going to use image, but image is usually not the name of the field. It's the name of a regular name that you give, but maybe it's important to mention. Or maybe let's try it that way, and you will see what's the error that is given by Odoo anyway. So going back here, category, let's find what you can put in terms of category here. Odoo is going to tell me, all right, if I go to my products, here I have a few things. Category, what I want to use is here, category ID, yeah, categ_ID. So you see, sometimes it's not that obvious, it's categ_ID. And then we have different values. We have deliveries, expense. So I'm going to use all deliveries very simply everywhere. So that, let's imagine those are all items I can deliver. Let's do that. And then image, I'm going to give an image. But then already the image, we are going to think, okay, should I give it a file path or should I give it the image or drag and drop the image? Usually Odoo will expect two different things, a file path, so a direct link to the image, or the image in base 64. And when I'm saying this base 64, usually people don't see what it is. So I'm going to have a look at that with you, and let's try to do it. That base 64 thing, usually you are going to say a base 64. Yeah, you see decode or encode, I'm never sure. Image encoding, or encoder. All right, and there, I think I used this one. Yeah, and then you can say, you can encode in a base 60 in a base format. There is it by sending a file. Yeah, but here it's not an image that is proposing. I'm never sure. Is it decode? No. You will find a few places like this, but I would like to add a file. I don't know if this one allows to image to base 64. Yeah, that's maybe this one. I can choose a file, and I could go there and use my fake logo, and then I can encode that in base 64. I can copy this one and then reuse that over there. We'll see if this works, but you see, if I import this, Odoo is going to maybe put it on different lines, like here. Yeah, you see that is not going to work because of the format that I'm using. So it's maybe better trying to go back there. You need to enter the only line and then enter it inside. So you see, if you have something spanning of several lines, it means that the copy paste that you made was not correct. So I'm trying to see if there it's going to understand my base 64 right from scratch here. And if it doesn't work, we are going to revert to the notion of using a file path. I don't like doing this using the base 64 for several reasons. Your file will be very, very big because of the image data that you're going to import. So you are going to have a CSV file that is several megabytes to upload, so it's going to be quite long, while maybe that file already exists somewhere else. So that's going to be maybe a nightmare. You are maybe going to reach some limits in terms of being able to import in a very, very small amount of time. A few things like those one can happen. I remember also that I was telling you that the cell size is limited in terms of thousands of charts if you don't use CSV. CSV has no limit, but Excel does have. So if you decode or encode something that is too long, you will have the idea, the impression that you can copy paste some information, but Excel or the other software that you use for the spreadsheet will crop automatically what you are giving, so you won't have the full image. So it's important to usually, unless you import small images, don't use a base 64. That's maybe not the best way to import stuff. So going back this, I was telling you that maybe image is not correct. Here we see by hovering the field is image 1920. So we can go there and say image, it should be 1920. And let's see if that is working. So two things you wanted to improve, categ ID and the image. And let's see what Odoo is going to tell us. I told you it's very naive. We see what are the errors that are given by Odoo. Okay, let's test, and it's telling me, okay, invalid image data. It should be either URLs or base64 encoded data. It could be that at the moment, in fact, my encoded data is not correct. I don't know why, but maybe it's already too big. One thing I can quickly check in order to know that is have a look at the length. Do we have something like this? Yeah, length of a text string, and yeah, maybe I'm already reaching the limit because I know it's in the 30,000 something. So it could be that I'm reaching that, and so I don't have the start or end criteria of base64. So Odoo thinks no, it's not a correctly encoded thing. So that is maybe something I should use a smaller image. I can try with something different. Having a look at my files here, that can help you. You see here, this one, the one I used was fake logo. It was quite heavy, like 315 kilobits. No, kilobytes, and then the drone, the other one is a bit smaller, so maybe I could maybe try with the other one and see what it's telling me. So let's choose the other file, the drone. Let's encode, let's select the information that I have inside, and then let's see, copy paste the information there. Okay, let's remove, it will be faster. And then go inside the cell, copy the thing, and then you see here it's already smaller, so let's try to see if that one is not better by deleting this. Okay, if it doesn't work, that's maybe a problem of encoding anyway. I don't know if there were other options for encoding plain text. I don't know. Yeah, I think it should be okay. That's plain text stuff. Let's try it again, loading my file, testing this. This time it says it's valid, so let's go. And yeah, we have our drone. So you see the size of the image can already be explaining a lot, because here that worked with the base64. But again, even that is not a format that I like, because the base64, you see how ugly it is, how unmanageable it would be for large data sets. So I'm going to remove that. I'm going to try to find a solution to import this with some extra information I'm going to get from Odoo. But categories, let's have a look at what it says. Okay, categories, good, it seems to work. One point that I wanted to have a look at is this. Previously, Odoo was expecting that you would import only deliveries and not all /deliveries, so it's a bit weird, but importing deliveries or just all /deliveries. Deliveries, I think both would work, and that is something that is a bit weird. So let's divide this into almost equal groups, and let's try to re-import. So import records, import, okay, over there, testing. Then it's telling me, yeah, just deliveries doesn't exist. So that's a good point. Sometimes Odoo is expecting the whole name, sometimes just part of it. So it could be that sometimes, and there's no exact rule for this, but if you get those kind of errors, have a look at if you have a longer name that you can use. It's fun, this one, because I think that in the past it was exactly the opposite. You needed to say deliveries and not all /deliveries to make it work. But be conscious of those kind of things. That if that message is given by Odoo, this one, Odoo is always right. So in a way, when you have an error inside the import, you can do whatever you want. Odoo will be right. So if Odoo is giving you an error, it means that you need to fix it, and don't try to feel like, okay, Odoo is wrong. Odoo is always right. So there also, maybe it's time to mention this one. I don't like to use these notions, and I'm going to tell you why. If you create, I don't know if you heard it, but Arthur was really making a lot of noise by sneezing. Yeah. Yeah, bless you. All right. So I don't like using one of those solutions here, because if it's prevent import, you don't know what has been imported or not. So you don't have a debug of what has been imported. You will see the amount of records imported and the ones that are not, but it won't be sufficient. And then you have create new values, but then potentially you won't see that you are creating a lot of crap. Maybe we could have been using create new values and do this import. Then what you do have is the following in terms of you have deliveries and then all deliveries, and that is a nightmare, because you have next time you create things manually, you have someone that says, oh, okay, I need to put in deliveries. Okay, but which one? When you want to regroup information, that's going to be really tough. So I I understand why we use that, but I don't like it. So I cannot say don't use it, but be careful, okay? Pay attention to what you are creating. Now I would like to re-import it so that once again, I think with correctly all deliveries, and this one deliveries, just product categories deliveries, there's no product anymore, so I can safely go there, delete, yes, bye-bye. All right, that's how it should work. Then let's fix the idea of importing the image, because that is still something that bothers me in terms of how can we import it better. Through previous Odoo Insider session, we had the question already, and it's not always super easy, so I can give you maybe an example or a few things that you should realize. When we say we want an image, let's try to inspect this image. I don't know if it's a GIF or something like this. Yeah, maybe we are going to find a quick image somewhere, blah, blah. Yeah, I'm not sure about the one that we could use, but otherwise there's google.com that is our friend with this image that maybe you can inspect and copy paste. Where is it located, that image? I'm looking for the link of the image. Oh, maybe we have something like open image in new tab. Sometimes you have this, but I think that here it's not directly the image itself, it's just as SVG that is loaded, so that's maybe why you don't have it directly, but we can try to find. I'm looking for the URL of an image. I think I got one that I copy pasted somewhere. So here we have a SVG. Yeah, okay, but do we have a source in that SVG, or yeah, they recreate? Is it possible that they recreate every? Yeah, they recreate every letter. Okay, so that's not going to help, because I would prefer to have directly the background image. Maybe this one could be reused as well. Or is it SVG as well? About product, blah, blah. Do we have something where we could exploit the image that we have behind? It's SVG again, and it's going to generate, okay. So they use, it's good in a way, they use SVGs all the time. Maybe I could reuse my head. Would that work? Yeah, background image. But I'm not sure this one I could be reusing it, because otherwise it would mean that anyone can use that. And I'm pretty sure if I try to use this one, Odoo is, Google is going to tell me you're trying to access some picture information that you shouldn't be able to access from Odoo, because in a way, copy pasting that information, have a look. Let's see what it says here. Okay, that is the image that I'm using. But if I'm reusing that over there, and I'm saying, okay, let's reuse that image, I think that I would be curious if it works, because honestly, it would mean that Odoo can access that information. Remember, it's not going through my browser to do it. It's not going to use my credentials, so it would be weird that Odoo has access to that kind of information. So let's go back to the product, and let's try to re-import again. Let's try it again, a very naive approach. Let's test it. It's telling me it's okay, but it's maybe okay in principle, but not going to import the product. That's fun. It's working. All right. I didn't expect that, to be honest, because I thought there would be some kind of security behind, and I didn't expect it. But case in point, working with a URL works. So you can import files like this one by giving an URL. That's the first thing that you can do. So an URL that is stored somewhere else. Another thing that you can do inside Odoo is using a bit of the image features that we have already inside the software. It's a bit longer, but in a way I like it, because it's going to work based on the name of your files. So let's imagine that I'm going to reuse my drone JPEG here that we have. Maybe, do I have the documents installed? Yeah, my documents? No, it's not the one. Let's go back in the apps. Let's install the documents, like here. I could be doing it without the documents and just use the notion of attachments, but nowadays lots of people use the documents anyway. So it's easier to drag and drop. That's maybe why it would be better to do that way. So let's go in the documents, and let's say that I want to use things internally, and I'm going to put my drone image over there. Because I'm doing this, I'm putting the drone image over there, which is right here, name is there. It's a document, but it's also now an attachment, so that you can have a look. If you are in debug mode, you can find the attachment, and I have my drone that is here. The drone, it's some content that I could reuse, but you need to know how to do it. First of all, I think I will have to check this is public document, but just to let you know, this image, you have access to it there, but I could also have access because I would use it on the website, and I have a website here. I could be reusing the image and say, you know what, let's change or let's add some information. I just want to use a bit of content where I'm going to reuse an image. Is it possible to yeah, it's inserting a block like this one, and then there I double click and I can upload an image. I'm going to reuse my same drone thing. Okay, very good. So doing this, if I go there, then you have the here I have different images. That is the maybe it's going to be harder to find exactly the image that we have behind. Yeah, because there we have several ones that are on top of each other. So yeah, that's we have the drone thing here. You have the current source, that is this one. Usually my demo is rendered a bit more complicated because you don't see it here with this background, but let me change the background color here. Not there, here. Let's put a, yeah, if I put a white background color, you see that the selection that I'm making is going to lead me to select the file that we have below, at the back instead of the other one. Yeah, even drag and dropping is giving me this one. It's weird in a way, but that's okay. What I wanted to show is that you can import a file, and this one go back in the in this place, and now you see I have a second one. I have this one I imported a bit earlier, and then the same image but imported through the website. And this one is public because I imported it from the website. Simply that's a small difference. And also you will see that it's the information in terms of resource is a bit different as well. Knowing that usually this image, if I were able to get it, again I'm going to every time open the wrong one. Let's select something a bit different. Kind of a place where I just have one image without another background. Yeah, I can replace this one and re-upload again. Okay. What I want to show here, and then again I have it a third time, and Odoo saves it as a SVG and also a WebP. Now, do I have access to this one in another direct window? Usually there is. Yeah, but it's again reusing something with some parallax effect, so the background image is, yeah, a bit more complicated. There you got it. Can we have a copy image URL and have access direct to it? Yes, that works. Okay, what I wanted to show is this one. You have a direct access to the image over there, but trying to import this one usually won't work. So I'm going to try to reuse this on my Apple wireless keyboard. Of course, it's not a keyboard, it's a drone, but whatever. I'm going to reuse that, and you see that I have access to this image, and in a way, I think it usually this one doesn't work, and we're going to use another link for that. Let's try together. Sales, product, re-importing things here, same file again, and if I test, yeah, it's telling me, hey, you know what, I cannot find that information. I don't identify this as an image. And I don't have the exact explanation behind, but usually behind that link, there's another one that exists. And that link I want to find, you will find it in the attachment. And there we needed to get a bit of help of Studio to find the link that is contained, because that's really what I want to import. If I were to use Studio, let me install Studio. This is a quick field that you can reuse. Oh, even if you don't reuse it, you could export the information. I'm going to show that. All right. Attachment. Let's go back to my drone and let's open Studio here. And there is another notion of internal link or something like this in the existing field. I'm not sure about it. If it's not link, it's URL. Attachment URL. I can try this one. I don't remember if that's the one I wanted. Yeah, I think so. Attachment URL. So this one is another one I can use. You see that it's a relative link. So I will need to use, let's duplicate this one. I will need to use the left-hand side and replace it. And then I have something, and you see the same image, but the link is not the same. I'm going to reuse this one, second test I have, and I'm changing my link here. And I think that this one, however, is going to work, if I remember well. That is usually sufficient to do the trick. Here it's telling me it cannot retrieve it. I need to check also if it's not the WebP that isn't like, potentially, I should have selected another image that is maybe the JPEG. we can have a look at that. Right here, it's public. Yeah. I'm not sure about what Odoo allows in terms of import. Let's go back into the attachments. WebP, JPEG that we have here, and then you have this one. Maybe we can try as well instead of right here. I don't know if that could be the issue. Yeah, we retry. Load data file. Yeah, this time seems valid, and then you could import it on the Apple wireless keyboard. That is the drone. So pay attention to the format of the file, to the link that you have. I'm repeating this because I know it goes a bit fast sometimes when we're moving from one screen to the other. But what I did is was using the attachment URL here. Always use the same base URL. That is this one that is a fixed parameter, and then the right-hand side is this one. So potentially you could go into the attachment and export the attachment URL so that you reuse the URLs to get the files that you already put in your attachment and complete it here. How would you do that? Usually the name of the file should contain something that helps you find the file based on the name of the product, either that or the default code or the barcode. So usually your file would be named according to the default code or according to the barcode. Otherwise, it's a match that you need to find yourself. The most complex thing is usually to know then that one file named Apple wireless keyboard, well, one product would be linked to that file, but that you know it's usually based on the name of the file, because the name of the file in my case would have been here that drone thing, and I could have used that contained somewhere. Like usually you would receive that from here from your client, and you would have you would have something like this file name, and thanks to that file name you would VLOOKUP it so that you find the correct address here. So that is something that you can do as well. Most important part is import the files first as images in Odoo, so that you have them in Odoo. It's closed environment, they are public, and you can link them to your product. That works for the main product image. Then that's what you have here from drone A. When I'm saying main product image is the fact that you go here, you go on the product, and you have this one for which you have a product image. But for the sales side, you see e-commerce media. If you want to add media, you have the same. You could be reusing media that here. If you want to add, let's say, tens of different documents, maybe you want to reuse images that are already on your website. In that case, a potential thing that you can do is create these media images that are records on Odoo side, and that you can do together by going over there. Maybe I need to explain something. You have that item that you have here is sometimes called a carousel, because you are going to have several images that are going to be shown one after the other on the product. That information, I don't think that you will find it somewhere like all the media files. Last time I tested, if you go and type media, you don't have it. Images, you won't find it unless you create, like I did here, an extra menu item to have access to the product images. That is what I created earlier. You didn't see me doing that. It was just before the presentation here. But again, I've been to the models and selected product image in order to have the product images, because that's the kind of record that we want for the media that we have linked to the product. Important. Let's go back to the images. Here you see, if I go there, I have an image name, I have the URL, okay, if it's a video, but then there's a link missing with the product. So that's because when I do this, you don't have an impact on the view that is created and generated automatically by Odoo. So I would need extra information about the product variant and the product template that we want to link. If I want to know the fields, I will need to go there, and I see here we have a product template ID field that I can reuse. So it means what? It means that if I want to re-import just a series of images, like let's say the two first images on the first product, I will need to do something like this. Okay, let's make that bigger. I'm going to use a notion of ID again for the images. I'm going to give it a name. I'm going to give it a product template ID, and then you know what I like to do, which is giving the ID. And then we'll have something like, what is the name of the field that we want? It's again, image 1920. So I could be going there, doing this, reuse in my sheet here, that image 2020, and I'm going to use hu import, dot image import 1, and then image import 2, because they will be recorded on their own, and say that is my head, and then we have a drone picture, and that we have the product template ID, and we know the template ID is over, not this file, is over there. I'm going to this time link both to, let's use another product like the iPod. Sorry for this here, and I'm going to use the same product ID because those are two images I would like to link to the same product. And let's see what Odoo is going to tell me in terms of import. Going there, that was a fake record I created earlier. I can delete it, it's not used, so that's okay. And let's try to import records over there. And if I'm using here product template, testing this one, okay. Of course, I'm not using the right sheet. Let's use sheet 1 here, test, then everything is okay. Importing, I have my head and the drone picture. If I'm going to the product place over there, and it was the, what was the product, iPod? Yes, iPod. Then you see there's no picture there, but in the sales we have two pictures. Of course, there's no link direct between those two, so that would work. Okay, so that is how you could import media images. That would work as well. I see that we have already reached 1 hour and 45 minutes, so I'm checking quickly what I have in terms of other files that I wanted to show. Very, very quickly, in less than 10 minutes, we are going through a journal entries import, because that's one that is very needed. But if you are a partner that follow the PLO, you know that you have also exercises on importing an inventory. That's also something that is asked, but it's a bit easier than the journal entries, so that's why maybe I'm going to jump directly to the journal entries in order to close the session of today. And then I will also, with maybe 2 minutes, explain a few of the errors that you will find a lot in the Excel files. Again, if you have another question, don't hesitate to join the show another day where we are going to have a live session and not a pre-recorded one like this one. Let's go quickly to the journal entries to illustrate something, and usually those are things that you already know. Here I only have the invoicing. I would like to import maybe the accounting as well with some, do I have the Belgian localization? Yes, it's installed, and so accounting, yes, the accountant module available on the Odoo Enterprise version. Okay, I don't know if it's going fast. It looks like it's already done. Good. So I wanted to import to have the accounting because I'm going to import journal entries, and that is available only in this one. When you import records, I have a few, and you see there was another plan to import activities as well. We'll cover that in another time. Maybe what I could do is have a look at this one, and also have a look at what it's going to import in terms of accounting. Refreshing this one, accounting here. So if you create a new journal entry, usually you give it a name, some reference, there's a date and journal, and then the journal items. When you start using Odoo, maybe you are going to use Odoo while your year is already opened, or you are going to import existing entries linked to partners that have an invoice with you, an open invoice, and you would like to import that specific journal entry because you want to send the follow-ups from Odoo or things like that. In that case, you want to import journal entries and not only the balances of your account. And in this case, you have a file like this one. I can show it. Maybe it would be easier for you. Yeah, we have the accounting entries. That was the file I think I used a few weeks ago on the show. And here you will find the same information that we discussed today, like an ID for the journal entry, and then we are going to reuse the technical name of the files. And very important, that is what you are going to wrap your head around for a few minutes or a few hours when you import, which is the fact that we are going to import a one-to-many relationship. The same way we imported companies and then contacts inside, here we are going to import information that is journal entry related, and then information that is journal item related. And as a journal entry contains several journal items from 2 to X, there's no 1 or 0, you are going to create those kind of lines all the time. And let's try to import this one. But maybe before we import, you see that there's the column E that is missing. I'm going to unhide it and delete it because that one is going to have an impact on what I want to show. I'm going to maybe come back and yeah, delete it, save. And if I want to re-import this one, load data file, accounting, that's maybe not the one. Wait a sec, because I'm not sure I saved this one. Yes, I didn't save it because I could see that the date of modification was not correct. All right. So if I'm testing this one, it's telling me everything is valid. I can import, and it's going to tell me, okay, what you imported are those two, with the name reclassification that you have here. That's the reference. It's the name that the reference that we use here. The journal was Miss Journal because that's the journal name. You see here, we didn't use the ID, and that is something that shocks me less, simply because usually you don't have like a ton of different journals. So I don't mind so much using names instead of IDs, even for relational data when you have a limited set of data. So that's why here this one I'm okay with that. And then you see debit and credit needs to be balanced, otherwise Odoo will give you an error. We can try this, by the way, by re-importing this one and just having €1 less. And let's try to re-import that and see what's the error of Odoo when we try to do this. And you'll see several things that we don't like. Okay. Let's do that. Let's test. And then it's telling me this. It's telling me it's not balanced. The total debits equal blah, blah, and total credits. So it would be erroneous to do this. So going back to the right amount, and if now I reload, the same, yes, import, good. But my trouble is the following. I created twice the same lines. And that's because of the same notion I had earlier, which is I should use also IDs for the items inside my journal entries. Otherwise, I'm going to, every time I import, I don't pay attention too much because I wouldn't see it here. I would see it maybe if I have a look at the total or the amount here. But potentially, if I go through several imports because I made a mistake and I forget what I'm doing, what you are going to import is incorrect. So really pay attention to that. I'm going to delete both, and I could even delete the last one, that is a draft entry that is generated by Odoo. But I'm going to re-import it now. Not there. I'm going to re-import this one. Import record, upload the data file, going here. If I test, it's okay. If I re-import, okay, I have 3000 now. And if I'm re-importing it again and made a mistake, and it was not 3000, it was 4000, and I want to change that, I can go back here and import record, upload, import my accounting entries again. Testing, import, that is very good. It went from 3K to 4K, but it's the same record that I'm creating again, thanks to the notion of XML ID that we have here, and that is going to be used by Odoo to find the right record to update instead of creating a new one. Very important, of course, if I'm doing this, I'm posting it. Odoo is going to apply the same principle when you try to upload. Here it's going to tell me, yeah, you cannot modify read-only fields, and since my entry is posted, my fields are read-only. So very important, I didn't mention that yet, but the conditions and the constraints that you have around what you want to import are the same. Whether you import it through Excel file or you create it manually, the consequences and the checks that Odoo is going to perform are the same. So if you cannot do something manually, chances are very, very high that you won't be able to do it through an import. There are a few exceptions because sometimes manually there is a field that is required or a field that is read-only in the view but not in the model. So it would be a bit different importing versus changing in the view, but that would be the same reasoning. A few things that we have seen in terms of errors, we didn't have that many, but otherwise, if you follow the PLO, so one of the courses that we have that is here, we have a data import course that is week 3, I think. No, week 3, week 4. Over there, basic data import, where we tell you how to import companies, product, and contacts. And there are errors inside we've made on purpose so that we see how you react when you have errors given by your client. So it's a good exercise. If you want to follow the PLO, really contact your account manager. They are going to help you getting access to this one. It's a course given by our onboarders and our Odoo consultants, and you cover all of that. And one of the things that you have a lot is really the basic error of Odoo. I didn't show you, but if you had imported product with twice the same barcode, you would have gotten an error. Duplicates, we covered. We cannot find a field because you mentioned a field that is not existing. You have constraints in Odoo, like you import, let's say, credit and debit with both amounts. So if I had something like this, that line would be refused because you cannot have debit and credit on the same line. It's a constraint in Odoo. A few other things that you have sometimes, people don't realize it, is they are going to enter a char here. For Odoo, it's a new line. And so Odoo is going to think, okay, you're trying to import something. You don't see it inside Excel, but the file technically is changed. And so this wouldn't work. I can go maybe and give you an example of that. Yeah, here it's going to go again with a posted entry, so I need to go to that entry and post it so that we can get access to the next error. Odoo is not going to compute all the errors. At times, it's going to give them one by one. It really depends of the case, by the way. But here, this one, yeah, it's not the one that I wanted. Up, where it is? Yes, accounting entries. If I'm testing this one. Apparently, on Excel it's okay. On CSV, I know it's something that you can get into trouble because of this one. Did I save? And usually in a CSV file, let's save this one as a CSV. You will see it very quickly. Yeah. Let's check that by opening the CSV as a text file. Can I open it with another application? Yes. Yeah, that would look like that. That would look like this, and you would have an end file that is like this, blank line and some commas where you cannot do anything about it, and so Odoo will interpret that as okay, what is it? And you get an error. So there are a few errors like those ones that you will meet during your import lifetime. Don't hesitate to contact us because we are really drilled. We know how to work around those errors. There are a few things that we would like to cover also with you. I told you about importing serial numbers, other information you do. Why don't we import sale orders, purchase orders, pickings, how to import large data sets, how to import, export languages, or translation, I should say. There's that new notion of studio export and import as well. If you have had a look, we already covered that during one of the previous sessions. You have that export and import that is not exactly the same, even though there's a lot of similarities. It's also a different way of working. So time is up, and we already had to cover a lot today, but those are kind of things that we can explore further during one of the next sessions on Odoo Insider. Thanks a lot again for your patience, and see you next week, maybe with the other Antoine, we'll see. And until then, happy Odoo consulting, and yeah, see you next time on Odoo Insider. Bye-bye, guys.